It sits on the reef, swaying. Soft, colorful, harmless. Most people look at a sea anemone and see a flower. It isn't a flower. It's an animal. A predator with no brain, no eyes, and no heart. And every one of those gentle waving tentacles is loaded with thousands of microscopic weapons. Weapons that fire faster than a bullet leaves a barrel. Now watch a small orange fish swim directly into it. No hesitation. It presses its belly against the tentacles. It rolls. It buries itself. It goes to sleep in there. Nothing fires. Nothing paralyzes it. Nothing kills it. A creature that kills anything it touches has one exception, and the fish knows it. Here's what almost everyone believes. Clownfish are born immune. It's just how they are. Nature gave them a free pass. That's wrong. A newly hatched clownfish dropped into an anemone gets stung, paralyzed, and eaten. Same as anything else. The immunity is not a gift. It has to be earned. And earning it is horrifying. Over the next few minutes, you'll see exactly what a young clownfish has to do to survive that first contact. You'll find out what its skin is actually made of, why the anemone can't feel it, and what the fish pays in return. Because it isn't free. If you like the ocean's uncomfortable details, subscribe now. Start with the anemone. It belongs to the same group as jellyfish and corals. Cnidarians, ancient animals, running on a body plan that predates almost everything else swimming past it. It has a central mouth, a ring of tentacles, a sac for a gut. And that's essentially the whole design. No brain, no blood, no bones. So understand what this thing actually is. It cannot see you. It cannot hear you. It has no central processor deciding anything. It has a loose net of nerves and a set of chemical sensors on its skin. It doesn't hunt in any sense you'd recognize. It waits, and when something touches it, the reaction is purely automatic. The weapon has a name. Nematocysts, microscopic stinging capsules, packed by the thousand into the surface of every tentacle. Each one is a coiled tube under enormous internal pressure, held shut like a loaded spring. On the outside sits a trigger, and when that trigger is tripped, the capsule doesn't just open, it detonates. Researchers have filmed the discharge with high-speed cameras. The acceleration is almost impossible to picture. Measurements have put it in the range of 5 million times the force of gravity. It happens in millionths of a second. One of the fastest known movements in the entire biological world, produced by an animal without a single neuron in charge of it. The tube punches straight through the outer layer of whatever touched it, and then it injects. The payload is a mixture of toxins that attack the nervous system. In small prey, the effect is immediate paralysis. The animal stops moving mid-swim. The tentacles fold inward, and the anemone pulls it toward the mouth in the center. There's no chewing, no tearing. The prey goes into a single central cavity, and enzymes go to work. The body is dissolved from the outside in. Whatever can't be broken down comes back out. The same opening it went in. One hole, both directions. This is what the clownfish sleeps inside of. Every night. Voluntarily. Now the fish. Clownfish. Anemone fish, technically. Around 30 species, most of them a few inches long. Bright orange or red, with bold white bands outlined in black. On a reef built entirely around camouflage, this animal chose to be a warning light, visible from a distance, impossible to lose track of, which should be a death sentence. Because look at what it doesn't have. It isn't fast. Its body shape is built for hovering and turning in tight spaces, not for outrunning anything. It has no venom, no armor, no size. On open reef, a clownfish is a slow, glowing bite-sized target. There is no version of its life where it survives out in the open, so it lives inside the killer. That's the whole strategy. A clownfish and its anemone are usually a permanent pair. The fish rarely strays more than a few feet from it. It feeds nearby. It breeds at the base. It sleeps buried in the tentacles. Take away the anemone and the fish typically doesn't last long. But here's the loop we opened at the start, and it's time to pull it tighter. That relationship is not automatic. A clownfish larva hatches, drifts in open water for days or weeks as plankton, and then settles onto a reef. It arrives with no protection, zero, and it has to find an anemone and get inside it, alive. Watch what happens when it approaches. It doesn't dive in, it circles, it hangs back, it edges closer, and then it does something that looks like a mistake. It brushes a single fin against a tentacle, deliberately, briefly, and it gets stung, a real sting. Then it pulls back and it does it again. Biologists call this acclimation. It can take hours, sometimes longer. The fish touches, retreats, touches, retreats. Each pass a little longer, each pass a little deeper into the tentacle field. Fins first, then the belly, then the flanks. It is systematically wiping its own body across a surface designed to kill anything that touches it. And it hurts. The early contacts fire real nematocysts. The fish twitches and jerks away. Sometimes it stops entirely and rests before going back. But it goes back. This is a small animal walking into repeated venom injection on purpose, because the alternative is being homeless on a reef that eats homeless fish. Then something changes. Somewhere in that process, the stings become fewer, then rarer. Then they stop. The fish that could not touch a single tentacle without injury can now roll its entire body through hundreds of them. The weapons are still loaded. The anemone hasn't changed. Something on the fish has. And this is where the popular explanation falls apart. People say the clownfish is immune to the venom. It isn't. Immunity would mean the venom gets injected and does nothing. That's not what's happening here. Strip a clownfish's protection away and inject that toxin, and it works fine. The venom is fully lethal to it. The venom never gets fired. That's the trick. The clownfish isn't surviving the harpoons. It's preventing the harpoons from ever launching. It has found a way to walk across thousands of loaded triggers without pulling a single one. And to understand how, you have to understand what those triggers actually respond to. A nematocyst is not fired by a decision. There's nothing to decide with. It's a local mechanism, tripped by a combination of physical contact and chemical recognition. The anemone's surface is covered in sensors reading the chemistry of whatever brushes past. Specific sugars, specific proteins, compounds that show up on the outside of ordinary fish. Contact plus the right chemical signature equals discharge. Now look at what covers a clownfish. Mucus. Every fish has it. A slime layer over the scales for protection and reduced drag. But the mucus on a clownfish is different. Studies have found it chemically distinct from other reef fish. The specific compounds that normally trip the trigger appear to be missing or masked. So picture what the anemone experiences. Contact happens. The sensors read the surface, and they find none of the signals that mean food. No trigger condition, no discharge. To a blind, brainless predator running purely on chemistry, the clownfish reads as nothing at all, or possibly as something even better. Part of itself. Because anemones face an obvious problem. Their own tentacles touch each other constantly. If contact alone fired the weapons, the animal would destroy itself in minutes. So it has to recognize self and not fire. The leading interpretation is that the clownfish exploits that exemption. It doesn't look like prey. It feels like more anemone, which raises a question that has divided marine biologists for decades. Where does that mucus come from? Does the fish make it, or does it take it? The shield is a proven fact. Its origin is not. And the two competing answers describe two completely different animals. The first camp says it's innate. The clownfish manufactures the coating itself, built into its own biology by evolution. The acclimation dance, under this reading, isn't about collecting anything. It's about switching production on. The repeated stinging stimulates the fish's skin to ramp up output of its own protective mucus until the coverage is complete. The second camp says it's theft. During those hours of brushing and rolling, the fish is coating itself in the anemone's own mucus. It's wearing the predator's chemistry as a disguise. Under this reading, the clownfish isn't protected at all. It's camouflaged. It stole the uniform and walked in through the front door. And I'll be straight with you. This is not settled. There's evidence pointing both directions, and a real possibility that the answer is some combination of the two. Experiments have produced results that support each camp. So when you hear someone state it flatly, one way or the other, they're going past what the data actually shows. But here's a detail that should bother you either way. The protection isn't permanent. Remove a clownfish from its anemone and keep it separated for long enough, and it loses the coating. Put it back in and it has to redo the acclimation. The dance, the stings, all of it. The fortress requires constant renewal. Think about what that means for the fish's life. Its safety is a maintenance contract, not a permanent state. It has to stay in contact. It has to keep the layer intact. A long separation, an injury that damages the slime layer, and the same tentacles that ignored it yesterday become lethal again. Its home never fully stops being a weapon. And access isn't free. This is the part almost nobody talks about. The clownfish is not a squatter. It pays. And what it pays turns the whole story upside down, because it means the brainless predator with the neurotoxic harpoons is getting something out of this that it genuinely cannot get on its own. Payment 1. Security. Anemones get eaten. Butterfly fish, in particular, specialize in biting the tentacles right off them. The anemone cannot flee and cannot fight back at that scale. So the clownfish does it. A 3-inch fish charges a much larger attacker. It bites. It rams. It refuses to disengage until the intruder leaves. Anyone who's dived on a reef knows this behavior. Approach an occupied anemone and the resident comes out at you, at your mask, at your hand. It has no chance of hurting you and it doesn't seem to care. That aggression isn't a personality quirk. It's the job. The fish is defending the only thing keeping it alive. And it works. Anemones with resident clownfish are documented as suffering less predation damage than empty ones. Fewer tentacles lost. Better condition overall. The anemone gets a permanent armed guard that never sleeps through a shift and never leaves the property. Paid entirely in shelter. But security is only the first invoice. There's a second one, and it's stranger. The clownfish also feeds its landlord, not by hunting for it, though scraps do get dropped, by something far less dignified, its waste. The ammonia-rich output of a fish living permanently inside those tentacles turns out to be extremely valuable, because there's another organism in this story that most people never hear about. Inside the anemone's own tissue live enormous populations of microscopic algae, zooxanthellae. They photosynthesize, they produce sugars, and a large share of that output goes directly to the host. The anemone isn't just a predator, it's partly running on sunlight, and those algae need nitrogen to grow, which the clownfish supplies constantly in the form of ammonia, right at the source. Research has shown that anemones hosting clownfish carry higher algae densities and grow faster than those without. The fish is fertilizing the garden growing inside its landlord's body just by living there. And then there's the night shift. Because an anemone has no gills, no pump, and no way to move water through itself, it relies on whatever current the ocean provides. On a still night, in a sheltered spot, that current can drop to almost nothing, and the water inside the tentacle mass goes stale. So the clownfish fans. Through the night, it works its fins inside the tentacle field, pushing water through the mass. Researchers have measured the effect and found it increases oxygen availability around the host. The fish is manually ventilating a brainless animal that would otherwise slowly suffocate in its own dead water. And here's the detail I keep coming back to. This isn't casual movement. The activity has been documented as deliberate, sustained behavior in the dark, at the exact time the anemone is most at risk. A small fish, working through the night, keeping a predator breathing. Nobody taught it. Nobody supervises it. It just does it. So put the whole ledger together. The anemone provides a fortress no other reef fish can enter. The clownfish provides defense, fertilizer, and oxygen. Neither one negotiated it. Neither one can conceive of it. One of them has no brain at all. And the arrangement is airtight in both directions, which quietly answers the question we started with. Why does the killer let this one fish live inside it? Not out of tolerance. Not because it made an exception, because it can't tell the fish is there, and because by the time you factor in what the fish does, being unable to detect it is the best thing that ever happened to it. That's the part that lands hardest. There is no agreement here. The anemone has no capacity to agree to anything. What exists is a chemical accident that turned into an economy, a mistake in a sensor system, exploited by a small fish, that ended up making both parties permanently better off. Evolution didn't design this. It stumbled into it and kept it. And it stays fragile. Everything depends on a thin, renewable layer of slime and a set of triggers that never fire. Break the coating, break the contact, break the reef the anemone sits on, and the whole arrangement collapses. Bleached and dying anemones lose their fish. And the fish, without an address, doesn't last long out there. So drop the version you were handed. The friendly little fish and its cozy flower. What's actually out there is a small animal that walks into repeated venom injection on purpose, wears a chemical disguise it has to constantly maintain, and works nights fanning oxygen into a blind predator to keep its own home alive. Every reef holds thousands of these arrangements, running right now in the dark, with nobody watching. Two animals that cannot understand each other, locked into a deal neither one knows it made. So the next time you see that orange fish tucked into those tentacles, remember what it went through to get in there. If this changed how you see it, subscribe, hit the bell, and tell me in the comments. Does the fish make the shield or steal it? I read everyone.